There's a lot of sayings, quotes, expressions that I like, but I think in my top 3 probably is 80% of the experiences I get to have in life, the success, whatever it may be, come from 20% of the decisions I make. I had a rehearsal today. A fellow actor and I have been rehearsing for a choreographed lightsaber fan short film. And for small passion projects like this, it's usually not the most organized endeavor. We had rehearsal today, and like I said, we've been rehearsing for a while, so I haven't had a super high expectation as to, if we're gonna shoot this in the near future, if at all. I stayed up late the night before, so kind of like set myself up for failure. I hadn't really looked over the script. All of us got to rehearsal late, and the first hour was sort of just spent with my scene partner and I just hanging out and chatting. I'll be honest, I was kind of dreading getting to the actual choreography section because there was so much time in between when we actually practiced the moves that each session we came back, we had to spend a pretty significant amount of time just remembering what we had practiced, and then we'd sort of get into the flow, but it was never quite enough. And the director showed up after us, and I was like, all right, here we go, we're gonna get started. He walks up to me and he says, I've made some changes to the script. We are having a dress rehearsal in a week and tentatively shooting in 2 weeks. I was like, oh, okay, we're really doing this. That suddenly started a shift in my brain. I was like, okay, I need to be a little bit more professional here. I was still murky on my lines, all 2 of them, and I knew the choreography for the most part, but was not super confident on a few sections. So the director / DP starts taking some test shots here and there, and we get into the rhythm of our footwork. I start playing around with the lines a little bit, and suddenly we're going. By the end of that session, we'd shot the whole thing full speed, which we hadn't done up until this point. And we added another shorter section right afterwards, which honestly turned out kind of badass. Like, there's one moment where he parries me away with his head. He's wearing a helmet. And I'm supposed to act like, it sort of knocked me off guard, like off balance. And there was one take where I legit lost my footing. I'm like stumbling around. My scene partner comes up to me afterwards and he goes, dude, you were smiling during the fight, like you were getting into character. And mind you, this all happened in a span of like 40 minutes. And not to discredit any of the prior rehearsals we had, they were super important, and we spent a lot of hard work working on that routine. And shout out to my scene partner, because he came up with the vast bulk of the choreography, and it looks and feels really incredible to do. But I felt like we had accomplished so much in that short span of time. It was one of the most important moments, I think, of the entire production. I had shown up not with no expectations, but negative expectations, and I was proven wrong on every front. You know what I did do? What all 3 of us did? We showed up. For all my whining and complaining about how it was just going to be a waste of time, it wasn't. And it was just a great reminder that, as much as you don't want to say yes to things sometimes, you want to find an excuse, don't. Because you really never know. Even if it seems like things aren't going to work out, sometimes they just do. I just find life a little bit more enriching, enjoyable when I don't go into it with a bad perspective. And sure, the inverse is true. Like, you have a great plan, great expectations, and then you show up and it's a disaster. But just how it is. You kind of have to be open-minded to whatever happens in any regard. Anyways, thank you guys for listening to that story. I have my Twitch and our Discord linked in the description. And I want to give a quick thank you to Snai Solji, I think that's how you pronounce it, for being the first person ever who watches these videos, watches this channel, and came over to my live stream and said hi. I was very impressed by that. I also made my light died. I also made an email because someone else asked me about that. So if you guys want to send me an email, maybe you have a question or you just want to chat, then I guess you can send me an email and we'll see how well that goes. I'm not exactly the best emailer. That's a thing. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.